We have a number of people here with us this evening. We're also going to be recording the presentation portion as well as our Q&A portion of the workshop. So you'll need to just go ahead and do the little consent button there as it pops up for you. The presentation will then be made available through the project website for a little bit more about this evening too. So there are a number of us here. Hopefully you've got all the little photos up at the top of your Zoom box there. But as I mentioned earlier, my name is Suzanne Schwab. I'm the project manager for the specific plan portion of the project, and I'll be guiding us through the presentation this evening. Along with me, I've got Karen Gully, and she'll be facilitating the question and answer portion. If you can also see on the screen there, I've got Molly Mendoza. She's helping us to run all of the Zoom back-end work there. And then we have a number of experts on with us, transportation experts, as well as Tom and Bianca Gensler. So see the gentlemen up there on the screen. I've also got representatives from the city of Costa Mesa with us as part of the project. Hi, Vaughn. Sherry, who's already, I think, off into our Spanish room, and Sun is on, I believe, this evening as well. And if I miss anybody on the city side, feel free to raise your hand or give a wave or chat in the thing and let us know you're on. And then I think we're good here. Again, if you have questions as I move through this portion of the presentation, feel free to go ahead and type them in the chat. We've got everything up and recorded, and if there's anything that we can't answer this evening, we're certainly going to do our very best to get to all of those questions. But if it's something more technical, we will be adding to our frequently asked questions section of our project website. So this is a great place to go to view any additional answers we might need to hunt down for you, and also, of course, to make note of to stay up to date on the project. Okay, so this is our very first workshop. The purpose of today's meeting is to help us understand the community's vision and what your thoughts and ideas are for the Fairview Developmental Center property. So we want to start a dialogue today. Obviously, we're here to listen to your ideas and any concerns or questions you have. All of the input we gather will be used for a vision statement and a set of guiding principles. I often refer to these as the North Star for the project. They're our guiding posts, and they're going to help us know how to define a successful project outcome. And more so, though, the outcome for tonight's meeting is for us to be able to have that great input for community-led draft vision statement and set of guiding principles. We're not drafting those tonight, but we're gathering all the input for them. And then we will be posting that draft statement and guiding principles in advance of our second workshop over the next, I would say, month or so. Tonight, we have a lot of great information to cover. And again, really appreciate you spending your couple hours of your evening here with us. We'll go through the presentation. I'm going to move through it pretty quickly. As we had our meetings on Thursday and Friday, we found that some extra time was really needed for Q&A. And we can tighten up our group exercise if needed as well. Because again, we want to be able to get to as many of your questions and ideas as possible. Even in this virtual workshop, we'll have a chance to get people out into breakout rooms and do the group exercise together. So please stay on with us. It'd be a great way to get your further ideas. We'll do a report out. So we'll go into breakout rooms, and then we're actually going to be able to come all back together again, still virtually, and we'll be able to hear the ideas that the larger group had. We'll do just a little bit of prioritization with those as well. Quickly, we'll run through next steps, and everybody will be on their way. Okay, so I'm going to start with a little bit of background here. We kicked off the consultant team back in September, and so we've been quickly getting smart on everything here. And just start with a little bit of history. I think a lot of people I've learned, at least in those that I've spoken with over the past few weeks, have had an opportunity to perhaps drive through or maybe volunteered over the years at the Fairview Developmental Center. But just to walk you through here, the state-owned property opened in 1959. Over the years, it's been home to thousands of residents, but it could have between 2,000 and 5,000 individuals at any given time being cared for at the center. Their ages ranged from infancy through age 70 into their 70s, I should say. And they had varying developmental disabilities, again, which they were cared for on site. That method of care at the time was seen as an institutional use. And so the facility transitioned and eventually closed in 2021, as you see there, as the care model transitioned to group homes or small care out in the community. Overall, the FDC includes a variety of buildings to have supported all of those people throughout the years. And that even included staff residences in addition to patient residences, as you can see here, medical care centers. I think some people have recently had an opportunity to go into the auditorium there on site. There's areas for recreation, places of worship, of course, dining halls and kitchens, all sorts of infrastructure to also support people living in the city. I'm going to talk a little bit more about covered walkways, but did want to make note of it here too. It's a unique feature of the site as well. So as I mentioned, the facility closed in 2021. It's actually technically still open with some elements being operated today. All of that started with the 2016 closure plan. And there have been a couple other actions most recently taken, start there as we see in 2022. There's been a number of Senate bills that have been supporting reuse and closure and possible future use of the property, but Senate Bill 188 here approves the actual disposition. That closure plan and some of those documents are also available on the website, so those are publicly available. If anyone's interested, feel free to click on the website. Over now the past couple of months through 2022 and into 2023, the city and state have come to a number of different agreements. One of which is that the city will lead the planning effort, and so that's what we're here for today: future land use and of the site. We also know that the state has pursued a 15-acre emergency operations center. You can see that is called out. It's a little dark orange box at the lower corner there with EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, that's being planned for right now. That is a separate effort from this, but our specific plan boundary does include the property. And then we're here today. We've kicked off the specific plan and also an environmental impact report. It's required through CEQA, the California Environmental Quality Act. And so this will be a 2-year effort, expected to be completed in September of 2020. While we're going through this effort of creating the plan, we expect that the state is going to initiate selection of a master developer, and more to come on that as things unfold. We don't have a whole lot of details there, but we will be working closely together. So as I mentioned, I see someone has their hand up. I just wanted to note that we will be taking all questions at the end of this segment, the presentation segment here this morning. But feel free to also put them in the chat. So we have a consultant team on board. I went through a number of us who are here on the workshop this evening. There are a couple others I'll note throughout, but they have expertise in trees and infrastructure, sewer, water, and things of that nature. But overall, our team's role is to ensure that the plan is financially feasible, desirable to build, and best addresses the vision of the community. So we're all here to support and work with you. As I mentioned, we've got this 2-year effort in front of us. We have a number of opportunities for community input throughout. I'll go through that a little bit more in just another slide here, but I just want to walk you through that. our result is going to be what I keep calling the specific plan. And for those of you who might not be familiar with what that document is, it is new zoning for the property. So a set of land uses, standards, so how high, how far set back, the required amount of open space that would be required for the site in order to develop on it. And it also includes plans for infrastructure, mobility, roadways, circulation, things of that nature. Our effort here, this 2 years, is a planning document. It will be implemented by that future developer. So whether it's one master developer overall, or if it ends up being maybe a group of developers, that will be after adoption and certification of our plan. And then I've already explained to you, we've got that environmental impact report that will be done as well. So your opportunities for input. I'm so glad again that all of you could be here to join us this evening. We've got the website available. If you haven't been on it, please feel free to visit and take a look. We'll have 4 workshops throughout the process here. They're offered as a set or a series. So each time we have a workshop, we're planning for hosting in English, Spanish, and a virtual option. As I described to you earlier in this series, this is our last evening. We started last Thursday in person at the senior center. We also have city council study sessions built in. Those are also available to the public for public meetings. We anticipate having our first one probably within the next 2 months, and then follow up in the spring. They're really designed to be at critical points where we need some to give some updates to council and also get some feedback related to especially the spring land use alternatives. I told you we're going to move fast, and for those of you who might have checked in person, same thing. We're moving right along here. So just going to go into a quick overview of existing conditions and the context that we're starting to put together as we're getting smart. Prior planning efforts that we are using to help inform the work that we're doing include the city's 2022 housing plan update. That is a state required element of the general plan that has to be updated at a regular interval. And it's actually one of the chapters that the state also approves. And so this process was recently completed. I think the city is still working on some of their zoning updates to officially close it out. But we know that housing is a goal for the state overall, and this site was identified for housing for future customers and residents. And so you can see the breakdown here. The city's goal really targets a variety of incomes and housing types for a variety of people, from individuals to families. And again, and we're going to get into this in one more slide here, at a variety of income levels. It identified 2,300 units at a minimum for the property. And we're talking at about 100 acres. So when we look at the site overall, we saw that map up. If we take out any of the existing current major roadways, such as Merrimack and Fair Drive, and Fair and Mark Lane, we get to about 99 acres. So we're looking at 23 units per acre gross. And any of those standards that we wrote in the document I was talking about earlier for open space or other types of right-of-way needed for circulation will certainly make that 100 acres a little bit smaller. And then overall, just as I transition here, talking a little bit more about affordability, the housing element also set a requirement of 40% for low and very low affordability units. So if we do more units, we would continue to try to meet that target. As you can see here, just for example, these are the median income, the percent of median income. This is how the state sets these affordability levels, and just As you can see, for today's dollars, so these is analysis done on 2023. Somebody with a low income who would qualify to pay rent. This is for a family of four for a 2 and 3 bedroom unit, somewhere between $2,000 and $2,200. Additionally, so we know the previous planning efforts, we have a target for housing. We also we start to do some of our own analysis, right? Looking at our surrounding land uses. Where are we in the city? Where are we in relation to other things around us? And so we can see here that we have, called out very largely the Harbor Village apartments, multifamily housing, or nestled within a golf course. We've got some single family residences along Mark Lane, adjacent there. Just to the south, we've got a mix of multifamily and single family along Joanne. And then Harbor Boulevard is a vibrant commercial corridor offering a lot of options for retail. We have a couple educational facilities nearby. And again, opportunity for some additional open space there all the way over to Fairview. And so as we're looking at that, of those surrounding land uses and contexts, we're asking ourselves, and we certainly want to hear from all of you tonight, how do we create a new neighborhood for Costa Mesa? How do we continue to provide the quality of life that all of you have come to know and love in Costa Mesa and want to carry forward? How do we continue to make it a unique place here in Richmond? And so those are the types of things we're thinking of. We've also been looking at circulation. I mentioned I've got some folks on this evening with us from Fairview. You can see there's a lot of planning for circulation related to bikes and roadways that get you to Fairview Developmental Center site. But we have the opportunity now to plan how you're going to go through and around and some other opportunities there. So as far as circulation and mobility go, we're asking ourselves, how will people get to and from, move throughout the site? We've certainly heard from people early on in this process on Thursday, Friday night. How can we encourage people to take other modes of transportation other than a car? Or how can we just reduce the reliance on the car in general? So lots of good things to think about there. We're also looking at, the physical site context. You can see in this drawing, we've been analyzing and looking at the trees. We have an arborist who's actually been out on site for the past 3 weeks doing a study of the condition, age of those trees, the health of those trees, trying to help us identify which species we should try to preserve. And so we'll be documenting all of that, and along with some other technical studies. Those are things that we'll be able to share with everybody along. Some of those physical features could just also be things that we see on site. And we certainly welcome any ideas on how those should be honored or remembered in this new plan. I mentioned earlier that we have these walkways, and if you can see my mouse here, they're unique and very functional. Not only do they provide shade and help previous residents get around the site, but they also have some electrical conduit and steam pipes and other things running through them that make the site, again, just very functional and easy to maintain. Interesting things. For some additional context, I'm going to run through some residential building types. And again, we're moving fast and kind of jumping here, but want to give you a little bit more food for thought on what we call housing product types. So different types of housing that could be built here on site, knowing that that's one of the primary goals for the project. So I'm going to start with our small lot single family housing. These are photos of existing homes in Costa Mesa. They typically, or they could be attached or detached, as you see in the photos here, and typically somewhere around 10 to 17 units per acre. So again, earlier I mentioned if we were going to go with kind of the base of where we're at, we're looking at somewhere around 23 just for comparison purposes. Again, in order to meet that goal that we have set right now. These can come in a variety of, if we provided as condos or for sale and single and few simple units. And typically they have requirements for some sort of private open space. Townhomes are another option we can look at. Again, we want to provide a diverse range of different types of housing for all kinds of people who hopefully want to live in this new neighborhood. The townhomes are attached, as you can see in the photos here. They're offered in a lot of different varieties, some even with live-work element at the first floor. We even brought an example where you've got some units up front and others staggered a little further back. Or a more traditional model where you see something we call this a row town, literally all the townhouses right in a row. Courtyard housing, or sometimes we even call this a motor court, because in the example in the lower corner here, you can see the courtyard is actually providing access for vehicles to get in one of the garages. But in others, we've got a courtyard model where units are around some sort of a private open space feature. These usually are tuck under parking, as you see kind of in the photo there. We're starting to get a little bit more density, 12 to 26 units per acre, and common open space is definitely the most common. Aside from balconies, for sale multi-story flats. So the new housing type that we recently learned about, at least for those of us here at PlaceWorks. We started as a part of our outreach process some conversations with various stakeholder groups. Those include home builders in the area, and they introduced us to this new model of home. It is a multi-family building, but it provides one-story living. So the flat is literally one full level of the building. So we've heard some initial reaction in our earlier workshops was that this would be a great option for multi-generation or senior living people who would prefer to avoid a lot of stairs. And again, we're going up in density here now, looking at 30 dwelling units or more, and looking at maybe 4 to 7 stories. So not huge, not a huge overwhelming building, but definitely able to fit more units into one building. And then lastly here, we just got a variety of other multifamily types of buildings, several of which you can see go up in height, and therefore with the number of units we're able to provide. There's a lot more we can do at the ground level, perhaps even putting into mixed use and retail options, whether it be the full ground floor, or sometimes we see it just at the floor. And I'll also note here we've got an interesting multi-generational affordable project that's a nice model and case study for us as well. Lots of options to provide a full scale and range of neighborhood living. I also wanted to note a few of these affordable housing options. We've also had the opportunity to talk to a couple different affordable housing developers. National Core in particular provided these examples, and they're also done good case studies, some of which are already built, such as Legacy Square, as you've seen in Santa Ana. And that one's really nice too. It does have a interesting mixed use aspect, and will be along the New Fix Railway transit line going into Santa Ana. Nearing completion. We also see with these a variety, that one is at 93 units, but right next door in Buena Park, we've got another unit for another building for 66 units. So they're not huge buildings. They're offered in a variety of styles, and really what we're seeing is quality architecture with a variety of amenities. So definitely something that we'll be continuing to learn more about as we're putting things together. And then just quickly here, in relation to talking about all these units and types, we did a little site capacity for comparison. So we looked at, and I've just got 2 quick examples for you here. We looked at Southern California areas that have had recent development and that have been in our mind successful. So one example here, Playa Vista, which is up in Los Angeles County. It's built today. You can see in the aerial. It includes a variety of housing types. And when we put the Fairview Developmental Center specific plan boundary over it, we capture almost 4,500 units. So for us, it's also a good barometer to say, okay, we have a feasibility goal as your consultant team, is 2,300 units feasible, knowing that there is development and relatively recent development out there that was able to capture a large number of units and relatively the same size, shows us that yes, we're probably headed in the right direction. And again, they've got some ways open space in the usage. We also looked at Irvine Spectrum, and I'm not saying that these are case studies for what we're going to build. It's just case studies to see for capacity purposes what fits. This is an example of apartments as you get close to the Irvine Spectrum Mall. You can see roughly off of the 405 freeway. And you can see in this one, it's all one product type. It's all one apartment building, over and over again. But we're looking at now 5,000 units. So, how would you go up in the maximum of unit count more? It's really more private amenities that are provided. You see one large green space and then lots of pools and on-site amenities. You can see that they've got some dry cleaners and other things, fitness centers and whatnot kind of at their ground floor. So not really meant for the community at large to visit, but again, a way of maximizing use for this size, this type of event. We will, as I noted earlier, we have opportunities for additional workshops. So we've got that total of 4. So workshop number 2 will be, we're anticipating in winter. And what I mean by winter is probably February of 2024. So not too far after the new year. We just need to get all through the holidays. We'll be coming back to you with the draft vision statement and guiding principles. Those will be out for review, ahead of the community meeting, but definitely we'll be sharing that at the meeting as well. We're also doing a market study. We'll be sharing findings from that at the next workshop, along with some additional existing condition information, any of the technical study reports we have to share, such as the tree study I was sharing earlier. We will certainly make those available. And then we'll start to gather some initial input for the site plan alternatives. You heard us start to mention that a little bit earlier this evening, but we'll be working towards 3 different alternatives, which will be workshop number 3. So giving you an extra little preview, but we'll do some initial work on that for workshop number 2 as well. Additionally, just of course want to continue or encourage all of you to continue to check the website and please email FPC Housing Plan at CostaMesaCA.gov to sign up for notifications, get on our email list. And please don't forget, put in the chat the top 3 priorities you've got. And
we can hang around. We'll hang out.
Heard, yeah. And then lastly, again, we just been really excited to meet with all of you. Really appreciate all the participation this evening, being with us for 2 hours on a Monday night. It was really great to listen to your ideas. Hopefully we were able to address some concerns. Again, we'll add to the FAQ based on kind of some of those questions we're hearing over and over again. We'll be coming back to you with that draft vision statement and a set of guiding principles. So thanks again. Really appreciate having all of you here today.